Welcome to the Vernon Hills Update. The update offers information about a variety of village services. You'll meet a few of your neighbors and you'll find out about upcoming events. On today's show, we'll visit with the folks at Public Works to find out how they are putting their decorative touch on the village this holiday season. We'll check in with the Vernon Hills Police Department to review some important tips for keeping safe during the busy holiday shopping season. We'll stop by the Hawthorne District 73 administrative offices to learn about growing student enrollment and possible options for addressing their growth. We'll hear from Countryside Fire as they remind us of some simple but important suggestions to keep our families safe. And we'll relive some of the sights and sounds of the village tree and menorah lighting held Saturday, November 26th at the Vernon Hills Golf Course. Thank you for tuning in to the Vernon Hills Update.
We are at Countryside Fire Station, but we're not here to talk with those guys right now. We're here to talk to Dave Brown. He's our Director of Public Works. As you can see, we've got some decorations we're standing in front of, and your crews have been really busy kind of putting some holiday touches around town. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Yes, as you remember, we used to have the holiday light show at the Cuneo Mansion, and because of development, there's really not the agreement for us to use that site anymore. So last year we transitioned and we added a more dispersed light show throughout town, and we're going to continue that this year also. So what people can expect is some of the light show displays are dispersed throughout town. As you said, we're in front of Countryside Fire District building on Deer Path Drive, and this is an example. So we're partnering with some of our businesses and other agencies, and it helps us spread the lights throughout the village, but we're also going to add things onto light poles such as wreaths or snowflakes and things like that. Around our monuments, we're going to decorate those also, and add a wreath and a bow and some running lights to really show that you're in Vernon Hills and celebrate things.
Well, it's nice for us who live here, and it's nice when people come to shop, because that's one of the things too. We like to draw shoppers to town, because the more we shop in town, the more we've got money to work with. So.
Absolutely, and it's been such a great tradition for Vernon Hills. So it's really important for the community, for the village board and mayor, to keep the tradition alive. So it's different, it's transitioning, and we look forward to another great holiday season.
Thank you to you and your crews for doing that, because I know it's some extra work. And another thing the crews have been doing is they've been out kind of getting ready for winter to come. I know you never know when the snow is going to come. You never know when the freeze is going to come. Checking mailboxes to make sure they're all sturdy, because that's one of the first things we hear about. But generally, you guys are ready.
Yeah, we are absolutely ready. We know at some point the nice weather that we've had this fall will not be with us. Winter will be coming, unfortunately, hopefully mild. We're all impacted by it so much. But yeah, our salt bins are full, our trucks are ready, salt's been distributed to the different buildings, and we've worked on our snow plan, and so we're prepared for the worst.
Sounds good. We might as well be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. So, well, with that, thank you for all that you and your crew are doing to get us sort of in that holiday spirit. We appreciate that. And on behalf of the village, I know you've got a little message for everybody.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Happy holidays to all residents of Vernon Hills, great community, and Public Works Department. Just wanted to extend our gratitude.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you as well.
You too. Take care.
Hi, I'm Kim Christensen with the Vernon Hills Police Department's Crime Prevention Unit, and I just have one question for everybody. Where did 2016 go? I can't believe it's over already. It seems like just yesterday we were planning the 2-day law enforcement exhibition here at Hawthorne Mall, National Night Out back in August, the summer celebration, all the community events and festivities. And now, by the time you see this, there very well could be snow on the ground. Anyway, here we are at Hawthorne Mall. As you can see behind me, they're getting ready for Santa Claus. He's going to be here pretty soon. In fact, by the time you see this, he will be here. But it's also that time again where everybody needs to be a little extra careful while they're shopping and at home. So let's go over those annual holiday safety tips. First, let's talk about the issue of parking. Now, we say this over and over again, and we'll just mention it again. Although the parking lots at the stores and the mall, there's not a roadway, but please don't use your cell phone driving through those parking lots. You have to watch for pedestrians in the lots. They're texting and they're talking while they're walking. We've all seen it. They'll cross, people will not pay attention, they'll just cross right in front of the cars. So please be careful. Now, when you are parking, as you prepare to go into the stores, whether you're working or shopping, close your windows and lock it up. And we want you to do this even if it's going to be for just a minute. It's only going to take a thief a second or two to break a window and steal whatever they see in your car, which is a good segue to my next tip. Hide small valuables. Even the inexpensive ones are a temptation to a thief. You know, put them in the glove compartment. Put them under the seat. Hide them in the trunk. Put larger items in the trunk. Now, if you see a shopping bag on the seat of a vehicle, the back seat or the front seat, it's a dead giveaway to a thief that there's something in it. So please don't make anything in your car a temptation to a thief. And finally, if you're parking, when you're parking, whether you're parking at night or parking in the daytime, but won't be out till it's dark, park in well-lit areas as best as you can. Park in well-lit, populated areas. Be observant for people. Trust your instincts and be careful. Okay, let's move from the parking lot. Let's move into the shopping centers or into the stores. It doesn't matter if you're shopping or if you're dining. There's some things I want you to do. First off, women, if you're carrying a purse, please keep it close to you. Keep it in front of you where you can see it, where you can control it, where you can keep an eye on it all the time. Cover the flap or cover the clasp with your hand or your forearm. Never carry open purses or bags. Those things are just easy targets for a pickpocket and too much of a temptation to everyone. Now, men, if you carry your wallet in your inside coat pocket if you have one, or your side pants pocket. Now, everyone, please don't overburden yourself. When you have your arms full of packages and boxes and everything, it's just hard to keep track of your things. Women, it's hard to keep track of your purse, and it's hard to react if you're loaded down with things. Now, if you are eating, when you're in a restaurant, if you're hanging your purse over a chair at a restaurant, please be careful and keep an eye on it. We recommend you not do that. It's just too easy for would-be thieves to steal your purse or what's in your purse, especially when you're at a very, very busy restaurant. Now, as much as humanly possible, please stay alert. Now, how about if you're shopping online from the comfort of your home or your family room, or doing it on your cell phone like millions and millions of people do? Well, there's ways to protect yourself while you're shopping online as well. Shop on secure sites. When you're checking out, look for the HTTPS in the address, not just HTTP. The S stands for secure. When you are shopping online, use a credit card, not a debit card. Credit card gives you better protection in the event of fraud and less access to your accounts. For some additional great information, a great website you can visit is from the American Bar Association. That website is www.safeshopping.org. They've got some great tips and suggestions for online shopping. You can also visit a website from the Federal Trade Commission. That website is consumer.ftc.gov. Now, in addition to being safe and secure while you're out shopping and out dining, it's just as important to make sure your home is safe as well. While you're out, leave lights and or a radio on so that it looks and sounds like someone is home. Timers are very inexpensive and everyone should have at least one, preferably one on each floor. Take that extra minute to make certain that doors and windows are closed. Take an extra look at that overhead garage door on your way out. Weather and cold and snow can sometimes affect the operation of those overhead garage doors. So as you're driving away, take a look back and just be sure it's shut. Do you plan on going away for the holidays? Well, home security while you're on vacation is important 12 months a year. So be sure you have a friend or a relative or a trusted neighbor to keep an eye on your home. We want that person to make the house look lived in. If it snows, have that person shovel the snow. Be sure you stop the mail and the newspapers. Nothing makes a house look vacant like a pile of newspapers in the driveway or on the front porch. Have your friend rearrange those curtains. Again, it makes the house look lived in. And along the same lines, have the car moved in and out of the garage once in a while. Again, use light timers. They make a house look occupied. Call the police before you leave and arrange for a vacation house watch. Most towns have them, and we will check your house periodically while you're gone. Finally, you've heard this before, please don't advertise on social media that you're going away. A little bit ago, I mentioned that S word, snow. So while we're on the topic of snow, if you're watching this now, you probably live in Vernon Hills. Like most communities, Vernon Hills has a village ordinance which prohibits parking on a village street for 12 hours after a 2-inch snowfall. While this may serve as a minor inconvenience to some, it's really necessary so that the plows can do a thorough job of clearing the streets without having to go back a second and third time. So please, when it snows and that ordinance kicks in, please abide by it. You're helping everybody out a lot. Thank you very much. I don't think that Santa Claus is going to mind if I sit in his seat for a couple minutes as we wrap up this segment. Before we say goodbye, though, if you are a Facebook person and you haven't had the opportunity to visit the Vernon Hills Police Department's Facebook page, do so and like it. It's a great way to stay informed. Also, between the Villages page and the Police Department Facebook page, it's a fabulous 1-2 punch to really stay in touch with everything that's going on in Vernon Hills. Well, let's wrap this up. On behalf of Chief Mark Fleischauer and everyone at the Vernon Hills Police Department, we want to wish you a happy and safe holiday season and a very happy new year. We'll see you in 2017.
We are at the administrative offices for Hawthorne District 73, which is one of our elementary districts here in Vernon Hills. We are with Superintendent Nick Brown, Assistant Superintendent Lisa Cirali, and Joe Kane, parent, volunteer, and part of a core committee that's been working really hard over the past many months on issues related to enrollment, the class size, resources, and how to take care of all these kids that we expect to continue to move into the district. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us today, folks from Hawthorne. And I might want to point out too, we're talking about Hawthorne today, but this isn't unique to Hawthorne. There's a lot of school districts around where all of a sudden we're seeing this growth in enrollment. And before we start talking about that growth, let's put a frame around this and talk about district boundaries, because figuring out what school district is your school district isn't the easiest thing in the world. Can we talk about how far-flung Hawthorne is and a little bit about the different taxing groups and the different school districts?
Well, I think that it's important, folks, to know that we do draw from many communities for Hawthorne District 73. We have students from Mundelein, students from Lincolnshire and Libertyville, and students from Vernon Hills. Majority of our students coming from Vernon Hills. So we have a lot of students coming to us from quite a few locations, and our students feed into 4 different high schools.
Okay, what are those high schools?
So you have Mundelein High School, Vernon Hills High School, Libertyville High School, and also then we have our Catholic High School. And Stevenson. Very few students go to Stevenson, yes.
Right. So when we're talking about the boundaries of the public schools, it's kind of, you really have to do a little research because your elementary will be different. It doesn't overlay with your high school, and that's how all the public schools are around here. So as we talk about that, take a look. You might not be in Vernon Hills, you might not be in Hawthorne, you might be in Diamond Lake Elementary District, or you might be in Lincolnshire River, or one of the others, but this is important for all of us here to know as a community what's going on. So that's kind of your boundaries. You go all the way over to St. Mary's Road, all the way up to Gulf Road in Libertyville. About what are you talking about as far as enrollment right now? We're talking like K through 8 or pre-K, if you want to include your at-risk program. About how many kids are we talking?
We're a pre-K through 8 district, and we have 4,336 students this year, which is the highest we've been. And we keep growing. It's a great community, and many people are wanting to come to us. So
When we talk about that growth trend is, let's step back 20 years. We had a big boom 20 years, 15 years ago when we had some building going on. All the districts did. We had Greg's Landing coming in. Can we talk about that boom and then what's happened with us after?
Well, if you go back to 2005 is when we did Town Line Building, our average grade level size with 397 students. So if you fast forward to today, our average grade level for every grade level as an average is 454 students. So over that 10-year period, we've increased over 50 students per grade level.
Is that common? Because what I heard, I saw an article in the Daily Herald about Stevenson, and Stevenson is going, looking at ways to expand their campus and add more classrooms. And they said they peaked in 2005. Then they were down. They went down in enrollment, and now they're coming back up. So you're saying you never had the down years?
No, we didn't really ever have the down years. We have been growing consistently, and we're estimated to grow somewhere between 40, 50 students off of some of our demographic studies over the years. Sometimes it would be 35, but then a couple years ago we jumped over 100. And so we have consistently been growing, and we continue to grow, and we've experienced that, and it's putting a little bit of pressure on our facilities. Our buildings were full.
Well, and where is that growth coming from then? Because in these, it seemed like there wasn't a lot of new housing. Where did all those kids come from? Is it transitioning neighborhoods or what's happening?
Well, what's happening is that we are having neighborhoods transitioning, generational transition. We have empty nesters that are moving out, and families are moving in, and they have a couple of kids where a house didn't have any. We're also getting reports from our registrar that families are coming in with more children than normal. We might have had 1 or 2, and now we're getting 2 to 3 in houses. So it's very exciting, and we like to see that, but it is, you may have several houses in a community that just had empty nesters, and when they move out, you ended up with 10 kids.
Well, so am I right to say then right now, even though we, planning of course was done for the future, but we didn't have the luxury here at Hawthorne of the dip, so we don't have any extra capacity. Are we pretty much at functional capacity right now then?
I'd say we're struggling a little bit to find space for all of our programs. Hawthorne tries to provide a really comprehensive educational program for all of our students. Our community is really diverse. We have over 60 languages that we serve. We have students with disabilities. We took back our Learning Opportunities program from CEDAW. So we have additional programs that we're offering, and each of those programs requires a teacher with space and materials and transitions between those spaces. And right now in some of our buildings, that's a challenge.
Can you identify some of those challenges? I've always heard that, like art on a cart or things like that. Can you explain what some of the things are that are happening to make sure everybody gets that good education in the space we have?
Right. Since I've been here for 18 years, we've built buildings and done those big projects, but we've done little things like build a cafeteria and add additional hallways or spaces where kids can travel. But even more, kind of discreet, somebody might not notice, we use a stage for music class instead of for a performance, or we're using a small testing room as a class, or a conference room that was meant for adults for small services, small groups of services. We have had to have teachers travel. We have teachers on carts now. We have music programming that travels, art programming that travels, and we have 2 portable classrooms at Elementary South right now that serve as 2 art classrooms.
Let's talk about that some more. So when a teacher travels, instead of the teacher having a room that the kids come to, they put all their stuff onto a cart and they just move around, and they don't really have a home then.
Right. So our teachers are amazing, and they, take that challenge, and the curriculum doesn't suffer, but it is more difficult to provide that kind of well-rounded class with all of your materials, especially music or art, where there's so many materials and instruments. If you don't have all that with you, it can change the class for the kids, and it does have an impact on the teacher. Obviously, during a planned time, a homeroom teacher might be using that time to set up something in the room, set up a lab experiment, or correct papers, or organize things for the kids, and that's different now when they have a class that's continuing to be in that room.
It's nice that teachers are able to adjust and support the kids in this way. And you said mobile classrooms. To some of us, that means like a trailer. Where are those located again?
Yeah, they're in the back of Elementary South, and so they're not visible from Aspen Drive. But if you were to go to the back where the buses arrive, there are 2 portable classrooms, and they are, sometimes referred to as trailers. They're very nice inside, and they are wired for wireless and projection, and they have all the amenities. But it is obviously, a different experience for those kids having to go outside the building to receive those services. And it was a transition for those teachers who had to move all their things out. And so it's an accommodation for 2 years.
And so that's a 2-year accommodation. You also did something a little bit ago. You did a study, and internally, we talked about the external District 73 external boundary, so you know which school district you go to. Internally, you've got 4 elementary, 2 middle schools, and you changed those boundaries a little too.
We actually have 5 elementary schools because Townline and Dual Language exist within the same facility, but they're 2 different schools. And Townline and Aspen and the School of Dual Language all used to be choice schools, so parents could opt into those schools, and the buses, pulled from all the neighborhoods. But we really couldn't control the capacity, and how each building was utilized. And so we had some buildings that were underutilized because parents were choosing out, and some buildings that were getting to capacity based on choice. And there has been a lot of initiatives over the years that we've had to deal with in terms of internal things, but also external mandates. And so there was a lot of things that we had to deal with. But what we did do as a community was put boundaries in place for Townline and Aspen so that we could control the capacity and make sure we were utilizing all of our facilities to the best of our ability. We had to eliminate amenities like employee daycare. My children went through to the employee daycare for 10 years here, and unfortunately weren't able to finish because we needed those 4 classrooms for our students. And so little programs like that have been kind of taken over as we've needed space. We leased Lincoln School in Mundelein for our pre-K and EC program, which had been housed in different places around the district, Aspen and Elementary North. And so we had to actually gain that additional space. We've been so lucky that Mundelein was able to help us and support us, and now they have their kids there too. So it's a nice little consortium, but we've made a lot of accommodations to the increases in enrollment.
We've been addressing our growth in multiple ways over the years. We're just now at a point in capacity that we can't move kids around anymore. We can't, there's no more leasing of Lincolns. That was great. Portables are there, but ultimately we have to find another solution because all the buildings now are full at capacity, or will be, with our existing community and not new neighborhoods that are coming on.
Well, I was going to say, let's speak to that. Then the other piece of the puzzle, which has also impacted other school districts, is the coming on of, we're hearing plans for a variety of new neighborhoods. We hear about Melody Farms with 260 residential. Gregg still has 61 homes coming in. Woodland Chase might have 51. That might be split between a couple districts. The Cuneo, the Loyola might have 128. When I do the math, and that doesn't even have the Forge Club, which that has 67. That goes to another school district, but we feel your pain. And so we're talking like 500 new residents, 500 new homes that we really were thinking we were kind of built out. It's kind of a big surprise. So what I had been reading about what you've been doing and what you've been sharing with the community is I know you went to a group called DLR to get some help. Can you tell us a little bit who they are and why you chose them?
Sure. So we had an architect of record for many, many years that helped us with Townline and different additions, and the board wanted to investigate some different firms because we are pretty creative in how we use our space here, and we also are trying to address future needs of our students in terms of curriculum and programming. We want our kids to be prepared for the future, and DLR offered something a little different. They are really good at reimagining spaces and thinking for the future. Having spaces for kids to collaborate and work together and present and communicate with each other and offer opportunities for online or use of technology, which we're moving to, a personalized learning environment soon. So their firm offers a lot of what we were looking for in terms of being creative with our space and providing the community with the best that we can for our students.
So one of the things you do when you look at your existing space and you're in a capacity issue as we are, can you reuse existing space and increase the number of students that can be serviced appropriately within that? And they're very good at that. And so they've done a study on our existing space, how it's being used, how well it's maintained, what our needs might be. Combine that with our projections. You said roughly about 500 just a new, but that doesn't include projections for growth in our existing that we still expect to happen. So we are expecting somewhere between 500-700 kids over the next 10 years moving in, and we've experienced that since 2005, and that was without new housing really in many cases. So with the new housing, we expect that will be concern for us as well.
And I have a question too. I know when we say new housing going, and oftentimes the contractor will give concessions because they know new development means it's hard on the roads, it's hard on the fire protection, it's hard on the schools. Are you seeing the thought of any money coming in to help with any of this, or enough to make it count?
Well, the village does a nice job working with us and contractors and trying to get what's called impact fees. And they do provide some dollars for each one of their projects, but it is not enough to say, here you can pay for an addition to a building or build something. It might offset a little bit of the staff. So they do provide some impact fees, but it's never quite enough for the scope of the work we would need to do because we're full already.
You don't have that cushion that some of the other schools, as they plan forward, they're filling up their capacity. We're already there. So, well, another big thing you did was you convened a core committee of a variety of people. Now, Joe, you've been involved in Hawthorne, and you've been involved in the community a lot for a long time. So you stepped up with your group. Can you tell us a little bit about the core committee? Like what kind of people were on there and how long you've been working on it?
Sure. So we convened a committee of, it's represented by some of the administrators in the district, a number of teachers, building administrators, as well as parents and community members. So we've tried to include everyone and give them a voice in this process. We've been working since probably late spring on this. I think we can probably safely say we're approaching about 2,500 hours that we've put into this project, which is a lot. So that's kind of the group that we've convened. And we've spent a lot of time going over a lot of plans and a lot of ideas, and hopefully we're moving towards a recommendation soon.
Now, before we started airing or rolling tape, you had said you had surveys, you had meetings, you went in and talked to teachers, you looked at other facilities in other districts.
Correct. We've actually taken a couple of tours of other districts to see what they have done to address issues like this. We've got all kinds of surveys. We've worked with some financial firms to explore different ways of financing the potential projects. We've got data. We've more data than yeah. We've got a lot of data. We've done building surveys of the teachers. We've done building walkthroughs to see what the actual facilities are and what some of the needs are. So we have we've put a lot of time and effort into trying to gather as much data and information as we possibly can and make it as an informed decision as we possibly can as a group.
As we're taping this in November. You're going to watch this in December of 2016. So right now we're going to talk about you kind of with the consulting group and with the group, you kind of came up with 4 major plans that you presented to the community to react to. By the time you watch this, things might be changed a little, so keep abreast of this. But one of the things you guys did come out of that core committee with all that data is 4 different. You gave them 4 different names, 4 options: adaptive reuse, new elementary south, all on campus, and stay the course. That kind of gave you a flavor of 4 ways to go that people have been reacting to. Can we do is it possible to do like a 2-sentence summary or the pluses and minuses? And starting with stay the course, because stay the course, what are we looking at if we go that route?
Sure. First, I would encourage for folks to go to our webpage, the Hawthorne webpage, because the presentation on October 19th and these detailed plans are online, so folks could look at those, because we're going to give you a quick synopsis. Stay the course as if we did no building, no renovation, no additions, no new buildings. We just welcomed the students when they showed up, and that would mean we would have to do more portables to make space, because we just do not have the classroom space for what we're expected to come in and grow. So it would require more portables, and that does come with a cost. It's not free when you do that. So it'll look like it's a lower cost than if you're building something, but ultimately what you're doing is just stacking portables, quite a few. There's quite a few that would be needed for 500 to 700 students. And online you can see estimates of how many would be needed for each building.
Well, I was going to say each building pretty much had some rolled up to some wing of it.
Yes, something along those lines.
Okay, take a look at those pictures. The other, all on campus. Now that's kind of exciting. Let's talk about that. Does that go across the street from elementary south?
So in the all-on-campus option, we are not building a new freestanding elementary school. We would be utilizing a partnership right with the Sullivan Center, and so we would be trying to create a space for our kindergarten students so that we could free up some space in the buildings. And then we would do some needed renovations and additions to the buildings on top of that, to all the buildings. We called it all-on-campus because we felt like we kept everyone in the current spaces, which are tight as it is. We know that our footprint is pretty small for the amount of schools and students that we have as it is. Green space is limited, parking is limited. But this option does give us some space within the current boundaries and keeps everyone close.
Does that bring Lincoln School, the kids that are in Lincoln School in Mundelein, does that bring them back home?
Yes, I believe on that plan they're coming back to Elementary North. So we would be adding some additions to Elementary North to have them back on campus. So we would drop the lease at the Lincoln Elementary School and have them back with us.
And on the original all-on campus that was presented on 19th, the Sullivan Center was not part of that. It was just additions to all the buildings. And one of the things we found in our analysis is we have a very small amount of acreage for the buildings. So you're adding on to almost all the buildings. That has morphed from some feedback, and so the core committee right now is looking at what if you did all on campus and the Sullivan Center Kindergarten Center, you would reduce the amount of classrooms needing to be added on to some of the buildings.
Well, in the Park District Sullivan Center, they have their new gym, and they have done some renovation and addition already, but they have space for you over there that it could meld in.
Yes, and they've put the gym in a situation that if we were to add on, that we would be able to utilize that gym space, and then they would be able to utilize the school space in the evenings or summers if they had other programs, is the concept of it.
Nice to have partnerships like that. And all on the same campus because we're all close. New Elementary South, who wants to speak to that?
Everyone's looking at me. I guess I will. As we move through this process, as Nick said, some of the plans became a little more fluid, and things that maybe were not available to us at the beginning of the process became available as the process moved on, and we worked at different partnerships with the village and the Park District and other taxing entities around here. And so the new Elementary South would involve building a new building across the street from the current Elementary South. Next, if you kind of think of it, it's sort of next to the Aquatic Center. On land over there, and we would move Elementary South across the street and then move some of the dual language kids and possibly the kindergarten kids over to Elementary South, and then kind of relook at fitting the kids into the existing buildings that way.
Now, who owns that land across from? I know the Elementary South kids go over and run around on there, but whose land is that?
It is the Park District's, and there seems to be some openness to letting us acquire that in some way. And so that's very exciting about that, because what happens is, like Joe said, you build a new elementary, you move the existing Elementary South into that, and then you repurpose the old Elementary South for the School of Dual Language, and then Town Line building becomes available for the growth, and most of our expected growth for new buildings is on the north side. So then that gives us some space over there to adapt for those new students coming in.
And when you say adapt, the adaptive reuse was the name of the fourth plan, and I had never, that's a really interesting one you want to go look at. That is really quite a thought. Can somebody explain to me adaptive reuse, because it's really quite a concept?
Sure. We actually were pretty excited about that. The concept is to reuse an existing building, and so we found some large warehouse spaces that were available for lease. Right? And so what you would do is you go in and you create one of those into a large educational space that can house school or multiple schools. And one of the thoughts was that there was a large one that we could actually put the School of Dual Language in, and maybe even Elementary South. And what was nice is that took those buildings off of our existing campuses. We do have some traffic pattern issues. That one was a rather expensive option when we looked at, because there are costs to not only renovate the space, but then also to make the lease payments. But it did provide us some really interesting concept to present and some options for us. The biggest benefit was it pulled some of the traffic away from our existing campuses, but that one, like I said, also became very, very expensive. Now, if you had a building like that, one of the benefits also is that the walls are already there. Some of the plumbing, electrical is already there. So you can save a little bit in construction time and potentially a little bit in construction costs because some of that's there. You're not building from scratch.
The shell is there. And when you think about it, when you talk about traffic in that area, Hawthorne is a very concentrated campus. It isn't like you have a neighborhood school in each quadrant. It's all right there. And when you do need to go and look at those plans, though, to understand the adaptive reuse, because the schematics are beautiful. The artist renderings are beautiful, really interesting. So those are the 4 plans that you presented on October 19th. People have been reacting to them. You're already doing some adjusting of them. Going forward, if you're watching this in December, the school board will meet in December. What are the possible timelines here?
Okay, so the core team has been taking the feedback from the phone survey, the online survey, and information on the 19th. Making some adjustments to the concepts, narrowing them down. The board has asked us to present one concept at a board meeting. I believe that will be in the early December. That's still to be determined. We'll discuss that at our November 14th board meeting, so it'll be a little bit after people see this, but they should watch for announcements on our web pages and things of that sort. So we'll then present a concept. Now, what we're presenting is a long-term educational facilities master plan. We're not just making a recommendation for what we think is going to happen in the next 2 years. We're looking at a long-term master plan for facilities for a 10-year period, not only to cover our existing facility needs, our expected growth, and then also some programming upgrades we need. We're looking at adding some STEAM facilities within there.
Can you say what STEAM is?
Science, technology, engineering, art, math, yeah. So all of those combined. And so it's a very interesting concept in which you're providing some facilities for students really to do some experiments and apply their knowledge. And the other part is, like, if you look at Middle South right now, their cafeteria is too small for what they have right now. Middle North and Elementary North, their gym space is too small for what they have right now. So some of those things that are needed to be taken care of throughout that. So it is a long-term plan.
Well, and you have mandates all the time of what you have to. It isn't like you can pick and choose and just lop off something. You have things you have to do.
Right. Yes, you're right. And so we'll be making a recommendation on a long-term plan to the board early December, I anticipate, for the board to make a decision. Most people are probably wondering, well, how much does this all cost and what's the impact for me? The cost of these types of plans, we do not have enough in cash reserve. And so it's not something a district could write a check for. The board will look at these, make a decision on if they're accepting the long-term plan, and then they'll make a decision on if they need to put a question on in April for a referendum to get support from the community to pay for that. And quick math for folks, if there is a $50 million price tag for a plan, for somebody for a $100,000 home, it's roughly $100 more a year. And so what for quick math for folks to work is, if you have a $500,000 home, that means your increase potentially would be $500 for the year, not per month, but for the year. So for $50 million projects, it's roughly $100 for $100,000, and then you can multiply that out. But that way folks can look. Now that information also is on our webpage with the specific estimated costs for those 4 concepts and what those actually would look like by the cost annually and also monthly for folks at different price points for homes.
And when we talk about referendums, you do have to get on the ballot like quickly. So the assumption is at this point, as we're taping in November again, that you can get this all pulled together, that we will be seeing something as a community in the April election.
Well, I would think that we should consider that strongly. There's a very strong possibility. The board would need to make a decision on the question no later than January 14th to have it on a question in April. So that's why we're working quickly to try to present these ideas to the board before December, so then they can make a determination. But folks should consider that that's a strong possibility that a question would be on in April.
I think something that we've talked about as a core team too in terms of the financial impact is that it would be a phased process, any of these plans. And so the referendum would just be asking permission for us to ask for that money, and we probably wouldn't need all of the money in the first year. And so the tax impact would probably be less than that. That would be on the high end. And then as we needed the funding to go forward with each part of the plan so that we could address the growth as it was coming, then the tax implications would happen as we asked for that money. So that April referendum would just be asking permission to the community, can we go forward and ask for the money when we need it?
So, and all these things, they're going to come together, you know, they're rolling fairly quickly, although they have to because you're already at capacity. And keep in mind, folks, even if you're not in Hawthorne or if you don't have students in there, it's going to impact you. We assume this is going to roll up to Vernon Hills High School. They're going to be seeing the same things, one would assume. We assume you're going to see the same thing. Stevenson's already dealing with it, so it isn't something new. I guess it's just one of the things about being in an exciting and vibrant community. It's, you know, one of the things you have to deal with.
And I think a really exciting part of this is that we're addressing our strategic plan, which is equitable, high-quality resources for all of our students. And that's what we've been working for forever. You know, that's what we try to provide for our kids, and we want that for all of our students, the best facilities, the best programming, the best teachers, the best staff. And so we're trying to do that and provide that for all of our students and prepare them for a future. And we've all heard this. We don't even know what the future is going to look like for them. So providing them opportunities to have their personalized learning experiences and collaboration time and outside the classroom time and those STEM experiences, that is what we're really hoping for with this plan.
When you think of it, that's why that's one of the drivers why everybody's moving here with the young kids. So it's like it's, you know, the chicken and the egg. It's good schools, you come here. So then we have to, and then as a public entity, that's your job. You take all students as they come and give them that quality education. As we end, you've said go on the website, go to the board meetings, listen to the board meetings, stay abreast of this. This is going to move quickly. Ask questions, talk to Joe, talk to these guys, but keep yourself informed. And as we go forward, though, Lisa, you just gave us a good pep talk of this is a good situation to be in. We've got good schools, we've got great teachers, we've got wonderful families committed to this. Can you give me a pep talk before we go? Because I'm a little overwhelmed, frankly.
Yes, actually, this is a great sign because the quality of our community and the support we get from our community for our schools, we're very successful. And so it's exciting to see that more folks are moving in and that we have new communities being built for us. And then it seems like it can be a little bit of frustration because, oh, where are we going to put them all? But that's exciting because it also gives us an opportunity to challenge ourselves to make sure we're providing the absolute best facilities that support the absolute best instruction possible. And we have a wonderful group of students. We have 63 different languages here, so it's really a wonderful, diverse community. And as Lisa said, we're trying to align to our strategic plan and meet our needs.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time, you guys. Thank you for all the work you're doing on our behalf, volunteers and otherwise. Thank you to the whole core committee. And we will stay informed. We'll ask questions, and we'll be ready. Go online if you want to know more. There's a lot of information there. Thanks, y'all. We are at Countryside Fire Protection District at the station with Fireman Tony Rodkey. And we're here to talk again about ways to make sure that you do have a happy and safe holiday season. And Tony, we can't stress this stuff enough, right? This is important stuff.
We like to say practice fire safety every day, but we got to take some extra precautions during the holiday season.
Exactly. And one of the reasons, too, is our homes are vastly different even than they were like a couple of decades ago as far as how fast things catch fire.
That's true. Underwriter Laboratories refers to it as the legacy, the more organic materials that we used many years ago versus the modern day materials that are more petroleum, plastic, and synthetic based that burn much hotter and much faster.
Okay. You had shown us like a couple of episodes ago, you had even shown it used to take a long time to get to flash over. Now 2-3 minutes, it's done.
Yeah, about 3.5 minutes, and it can reach temperatures of over 1,200 degrees.
Which is why we have to be super careful. And kids, we're talking to you too, because a lot of times the kids you teach in the schools, they're the ones that remind mom and dad. They're the ones that watch out for their siblings. So here, we're going to repeat some of this stuff for you. And one of the things we want to repeat is holiday decorations. Even the strings of lights have changed. You know, you always say watch for the UL tag, but I know nowadays you can even get lights that are a little cooler than they used to be.
Yes, and we also want to make sure that we're not using extension cords. Okay, when we use lots of extension cords connected, it's going to cause some issues. So we want to make sure we're using the power strips with the breaker on it. So if something does get overloaded, it's going to pop, it's going to stop that power, and then thus prevent the fire from starting. But yes, we like you to go through, look for any frays, look for any cracked bulbs, maybe time, like you said, Lynn, refresh your holiday lights with some new ones.
Yeah, some of those LED ones are supposed to last a lifetime, so they say, and I know they burn cooler, so that's something good. Well, and I know you get worried about candles as a firefighter, and you love those fake candles, those faux candles, but remind us a few candle safety tips.
Yes, when you go out, blow them out. And that means if you have a candle burning and you leave any part of the house to go do something else, blow the candle out. If you're going to leave the house to go do something, run to the store, an activity outside, blow the candle out. And when you go to sleep, please blow your candles out.
Well, you don't even like to have the extra electric stuff on when you go to bed. You like everything shut down.
Absolutely. It's just that extra precaution.
Yeah, and when we talk about the decorations you've got at the holiday, you know, you've got cooking, you've got all these things that are heat producers, you've got all these things that can make a fireman nervous. And I know one of the ways you keep track of things is with the wreath we're going to see up on the station. Keep the wreath red.
Keep the wreath red is about preventing those holiday decoration fires. There'll be red light bulbs in the wreath on the fire station. And should there be a fire caused by holiday decorations, we'll put a light bulb in there, a white light bulb. And this program runs from basically Thanksgiving until the New Year.
Okay. We'll try to keep everything red on that for you, you know. And another thing to remember is we go further into the winter season, we have to remind people again, heat sources, whether it's a stove, whether it's the turkey fryer as you're getting ready for your holiday meal, whether it's your space heater, you want space.
Exactly, particularly with fireplaces and the portable space heaters. We want to keep items at least 3 feet away. So if the children are coming in with wet boots and wet mittens, we want them at least 3 feet away because they can dry out quickly, they can catch fire. Space heaters too close to the furniture can ignite those pieces of furniture. We come in, we're pushing our furniture too close to the fireplace, and you use your fireplace, 3 feet or more is going to be your safe distance.
And I know you guys get concerned too about some of our aging houses in town, like to have those chimneys inspected because the flue can get damaged. It can crack open, and you can have a place where the fire shouldn't be, the heat shouldn't be. You could have bird nests, whatever you got.
Exactly, and it's actually quite reasonable to have your chimney inspected. So if you haven't had it done, you really need to have your chimney inspected and cleaned. It's recommended annually. You want to make sure you're closing the glass doors on your fireplace when you leave that room so embers don't pop out onto the carpet. Many fires have started that way. And also I know a lot of folks like to have the glass doors open so they can feel the heat. But make sure you have your wire mesh curtains closed so we prevent any embers from popping out as well.
Mm-hmm. And those chimney fires are odd things, you know, and I know people think sometimes I'll get those logs from the store that I think are going to clean my chimney. That's not going to do it.
Yeah, it really needs to be done by a certified chimney sweep, and they're using brushes and different specialized equipment for it.
Hopefully we're not going to see anything like that happen this year. I know every year, unfortunately, it has happened, but hopefully
it does, and it is preventable.
Okay, so that's the heat sources. Kids, as you're coming into winter vacation, they'll have a little more time, and I know you teach the kids a lot of things, so let's maybe come up with a couple, 3 activities kids can do for just help keep their families safe.
All right, very good. As I refer to all you deputy fire marshals out there helping mom and dad out, first we want to make sure we have an escape plan so you know what to do and where to go in the event of an emergency. So you're going to need a meeting place somewhere out front. Put that together with your family and practice it. Have mom or dad test the smoke alarm. And that's activity number 2, part of your escape plan. Know what that smoke alarm sounds like. And then activity 3, if you haven't already done it, change the batteries. We were supposed to do that back when we changed the clocks on November 6th or in that time frame. But also make sure you have some fresh batteries. One more reminder, don't wait, check the date. If your smoke alarm's 10 years old, you want to replace the entire smoke alarm.
That might be a good holiday present then, get new smoke alarm.
Absolutely.
Good for the whole family. So that's just a few things. I know that we always say if you have a question, you have information online that somebody can look up and look at safety tips, but if you are in the moment, what should people be doing? A moment of a problem.
In a moment of a problem, when in doubt, call it out, 911. On behalf of Countryside Fire, have a safe and happy holiday season.
We'll close this edition of the Vernon Hills Update with a look back at some of the sights and sounds of the village's tree and menorah lighting, which was held on Saturday, November 29th at the Vernon Hills Golf Course. Happy holidays from the village of Vernon Hills, and thank you for tuning into the Vernon Hills Update.
Welcome, Vernon Hills. My name is Kathy Byrne. I'm standing in for my husband, Mayor Roger Byrne. He and Trustee Mike Markward are on the way home from a wonderful football game in Champaign. And our team came in second, but they played their hearts out, and their heads should be held high. Right. I'd like to welcome you to your Vernon Hills tree lighting and menorah lighting ceremony. Thank you for choosing to have Vernon Hills your home. I would like to acknowledge the following elected officials, Trustee Grebe and Trustee Tom Cook. I would also like to acknowledge the hard work that our Public Works Department has done to decorate our entire town. I would like to also thank Countryside Fire Department for everything that they have done in delivering Mrs. Claus and Mr. Claus to our party. I would like to wish you, your families, a wonderful holiday and a very, very happy new year. Now I will let the Miss Vernon Hills introduce themselves, and we will do the countdown to the lighting.
Well, hi everyone, my name is Alina Berta and I am Miss Vernon Hills 2016.
Hi, I'm Tessa Posner, your Little Miss Vernon Hills 2016.
Hi, I'm Peyton Newman, Junior Miss Vernon Hills 2016.
Thank you. Now if we'll go over here to the switch. It's right here, girls. And we're going to begin the countdown. 10, 9,